Okay, small update. With this thing, I got a couple gripes about it. Of course, I always have to have gripes. One was whenever you're supposed to set this track down in there, and this is how you do it. You bump it up there, and you move these parts over here. That way, you make everything level, because nothing's ever level right out of the box. But anyhow, you got these two knobs on both sides, and there's a little bit of play on this center plate. Okay, and they have a video on how to set it up. I had this actually backwards, these two pieces backwards, and I had this part facing in because I thought I was going to be cutting along this track here. I was wrong, my stupidity. But information shows that how to set this thing up real quick. But they said to set these and loosen these back up after you get the track completely set, and then there's going to be you're supposed to tighten them up when they're all the way back when you get everything all set, and then you loosen them back up and you pull them over. My problem was whenever I was setting down in there, that wouldn't go to this upper edge because there was no give. So I measured it to this bottom edge here because this ridge was way too much. So that's what I did, is I just measured both of them to this bottom ridge rather than the top ridge because it wouldn't come. Alright, so you can see that's where the cut is right now. So that being said, and another thing would be when I went to cut, I cut a whole bunch of this part of this rubber track part off with plastic. That's how the saw is set. You can't set it over any further. That is where it's at. And just like this little plastic doohickey thing there, you can still see the plastic. The blade cut into it. Well, this obviously wasn't set up properly either. So ended up the blade cut quite a bit of that track part off. You can see right there is where it starts. But the blade ran right along and cut the rest of that track. Not a big deal. It is what it is. But I did cut the 4x8, or not a 4x8 sheet, but something 48 inches. That way you get this nice cut here. To be honest with you, I don't even know if you really need to have a spare piece of wood that's 48 inches. I think you could just set this depth down a 1/4 inch and be able to make your groove. So you need to make this groove in order to set up your little slide ins for your measuring. There's these little tapes. Now, one thing I do like, these are metal, so they're not plastic, and they slide up in between this track, and there's a little thing that pinches them, and you set it from 10 inches to make sure both of these are correct. One thing I didn't like was I'm probably gonna have to glue these down in there, even though there's something at the end, plastic again, that pinches it. You could still move it a little bit. Now if you bump one of those out of whack, that's going to throw you all off. So I'm probably going to spray some adhesive underneath it and slide it somehow. I got to figure out how to do that. But they do slide a little bit. I don't know how much you're going to be bumping them, but anything, you throw a piece of wood or something like that and it bumps it out 1/4 inch or even a millimeter, it matters to me. I'm really picky. What else? Alright, when I was cutting it with my first cut, of course there's plastic going everywhere and real hard chunks. I mean, it shoots stuff out this way. It does leave quite a bit of dust, and it doesn't all go into the baggie. Now, I'm sure if you had a vacuum system, it would definitely take care of it. This vacuum system does, or this little bag thing does help. I think it's almost full, and I didn't get to do much cutting. I noticed that when I did cut my 48 inch piece, that this bag had some weight to it, so it obviously does a good job, but it doesn't get a lot of it. As you can see, I mean, there's quite a bit that was shooting out. Now I did cut and get things set up and see how accurate this sumbitch is. That is accurate. I don't even know how big that piece is, but look at that. That's accurate. That's me bending it. But it's not off anywhere from start to finish, you know. That was me when I first started, but I'll go all the way to the other end. Beautiful cut. I am really, really happy with this table. This is what I wanted. This is exactly what I was looking for. I'm sure you could buy just the plunge saw. You could buy this track, you know, and you could take a tape measure, mark it, and take it on the other side, mark it, and then eye this up, you know, and then eye this up, and make sure it's right, you know, and then cut, and just pray you're not off by a couple millimeters. You go to make a cabinet or anything, precision matters. Otherwise you end up with little gaps. You know, I got this sole purpose for making speaker boxes, and if you make a sealed speaker box, you have to be precise, right down to the T. You can't have no gaps or nothing, and it's really hard to freehand stuff doing that, just with marking it, a roller, and cut it. So I looked into plunge saws. I'm like, oh, you know, I definitely want to get the best one. The best one I found was a Makita. Yeah, they got them other ones, a Festool or something like that, but they're way overpriced, and from every review I've seen, it really wasn't any better than the Makita. You know, the Makita was, you know, cheap. I think it's like $400 for the corded, almost $500 with the dual battery packs. I like the corded because you can actually get more power, and you can just cut all day long. Don't have to worry about charging batteries or anything. And it's nice to have the cordless without, you know, the cord, and you don't have to worry about all that bullshit. But I find it, anything you plug in, you get more power to it. Now, of course, these new brushless motors and the lithium battery packs, they're strong tools. There's no denying it. I just like stuff that you can plug in and just go. Now, if you're out on a job site, definitely go cordless. But this system here is really nice. Back to the whole thing, you know, measuring here to here, and you have to worry about, make sure it's straight. This table stops all that shit. You don't have to worry about it anymore. You pretty much set these little plunger tool pieces here, these little plugs. You know, you put your sheet in there. You know, you mark where you need to be, and this gives you a perfect straight cut every time. And this right here is proof. Look how thin that is, and how perfect it is the whole way through. I took my micrometers on this thing, and it's perfect from start to finish. It's amazing how precise this thing is. So I am really happy with it. You know, of course, a couple gripes. You got your plastic shit, and you know, sawdust coming out. Boo-hoo. Who cares about that? And this thing here is a really big disgrace. You know, come on now. I said that in the first or second video. These little bump stops are really nice, but they're plastic. It'd be nice to have some cast or machined aluminum, doesn't matter. What else can I throw in this video? Yeah, the hinge system's real nice. You see, I got my saw sitting on it, sort of bowing it. But how it works, you know, I got this one down and that one up. But you pretty much, yeah, you get your wood in there, and this is up, and then it'll drop down onto it. And there's like, you don't have to clamp the wood down either. This plunge saw, you know, it doesn't push too hard, and there's little sticky things underneath this to hold the wood straight. Plus, then you got your little dowel pieces here to stop it. And you know, you're done with your wood. You pick this track up. You know, so that hinge system's pretty cool. It's just a shame they wouldn't give you a proper left or right, or just cut two holes. That way you can, you know, both of these are on the inside, this stamped part, rather than, you know, having one stamped on the inside and then having one with a stamped part comes on the outside. You know, that's cheesy. But that's how that little hinge system works. Drop straight down on it. You know, I like it. And oh, I cut and I made stupid little sawhorse. I cut 2x4s, cut right through it. Didn't even hesitate. Just pretty much laughed at it. Of course, it's pine, so it's going to go right through it. I wanted to make my own sawhorses even for the table. That way, when I put a 4x8 sheet on, I could put this thing back. You know, anything big, it could take the weight. Now, this table, like I said, is adjustable, so you can raise it up or lower it, which is really cool. So, you know, if you're into making your own sawhorses and you make it a ½ inch too tall, then you know you can adjust the table down. Unless you got it already adjusted all the way down, then you know you'll figure it out. Don't. Anyhow, yep, cut right through the 2x4s like nothing. Of course, that's the end part. Yeah, the blade it came with was pretty nice too. But I am pretty happy with it. Just stupid little things like this shouldn't happen. You know, there's no way to set that saw over anymore. It is right there, and it cut most of that off. This little bump stop, I wonder what that is, but that stops your saw, and that's where you start. And that'll actually start where your cut is right here. And I actually took this thing off and pulled it back that way and cut more of that plastic. That way it wasn't interfering anymore. I did a couple draws on it. But, yeah, it's a good saw. I'm pretty happy with it.